Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our latest EuroCham webinar. This is the latest in our webinar series where we aim to tackle issues related to the Covid-19 pandemic. Real estate and construction has traditionally been a pillar of the Cambodian economy. However, since the outbreak of Covid-19, the market has slowed, or at least news would suggest it has. News has suggested that rental prices have fallen, property prices have dropped, and several projects have been delayed. So today's webinar will provide an update to Cambodia's real estate and construction sector. And our two speakers will look at the truth of some of those articles and share their insights on how they see the sector developing in the near future. So for all of those listening, this webinar is organized by EuroCham as part of the ICI Plus SEBSEAM program. SEBSEAM stands for Support for European Businesses in Southeast Asian Markets. And it's been generously co-funded by the European Union delegation to Cambodia. So the overall objective of this program is to promote Cambodia and ASEAN as a high potential trade and investment destination for EU companies, and also to strengthen the EU business sector in Cambodia by facilitating market access through the advocacy program. So one of our speakers, Michelle, for example, is the chairman of the Real Estate and Construction Committee. So I would like to extend our thanks to the EU delegation for that funding, as well as to our 2020 sponsors, who you can see here today, without whose support this webinar would not be possible. So to go on to today's the structure of today's webinar, it will have a two-part structure that will last around 1 hour. Sorry, a three-part structure. First, we'll have a brief introduction to the format of the webinar. Second, Tida Ann, the Managing Director of CBRE, will give an update on the Cambodian construction sector. And Managing Director of Archetype, Michel Cassans, will also give his thoughts on Tida's presentation. And then finally, we'll end with a live Q&A session where audience members can post their questions. So for the format, if you have a question at any point, you can type it in the chat window in the bottom right of your screen. We'll either try to address it during the flow of the presentation, or it will be addressed in the Q&A at the end. And so to address an audience question we always have for these webinars ahead of time, the slides will be available and they'll be posted on our YouTube channel along with the link to the recorded webinar. For everybody registered today, you'll be sent a personal email with the link as soon as it's ready. So just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Tom Hesketh. I'm the moderator today. I'm the Business Services Manager at EuroCham Cambodia. And here, as part of the ICI Plus SEBSEAM program, my role is to support European companies enter the Cambodian market. And today, I have the pleasure of being joined by two experts of the Cambodian real estate and construction sector, Ms. Tida Ann, the now Managing Director of CBRE Cambodia, and second, Managing Director of Archetype Cambodia, Michel Cassans. So I wonder if the two of you can just say a few words to introduce yourselves. So Michel, you are first.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So yes, I'm the Managing Director of Archetype Cambodia, and Laos, by the way, and the Chairman of the Real Estate and Construction Committee, and been here in Cambodia for the past 9 years almost, and 20 years in the region.
And second.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tida Ann, the Managing Director for CBRE Cambodia. I've been part of the real estate industry for over 10 years now, so it's my pleasure to share what the current market condition, good news and bad news, to all of you today.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for the two introductions. So for everybody on board, if interested in today's topic and if interested in how the situation has changed compared to 2019, you can also find the previous real estate and construction webinar, which was also joined by Tida and Michelle on our YouTube channel. In that webinar, we had a bit more of an optimistic tone. It was business opportunities in the real estate and construction sector. And so I'm looking forward to the good and the bad news that Tida and Michelle will share with us today. So just finally, before moving on, EuroCham has recently launched its July newsletter. That's on our website at the moment. The EuroCham team will still be keeping you informed via recent government announcements. We will translate and publish the summaries of those announcements on our YouTube, on our website even. And for any members on the call and in general for general event organizers, EuroCham is planning on holding its annual general meeting in September 2020. So This will be the first large-scale event that EuroCham organizes, well, really since the outbreak of COVID-19. And so for those members on board this webinar at the moment, I'd really encourage you to join that. So with that, then I'll pass you over to the real estate and construction experts. So Tita, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Tom. Well, it suffered. It's not just Cambodia, in the whole world. And real estate also the sector that's been affected by COVID-19. So I am going to present for all the sector for real estate, and I will share my view how the prolong of the impact for those sector. As mentioned, you can rest for any question at the end, and I am pleased to share my view the same as Michelle during this presentation time. Let's start with Cambodia Dashboard and how we see Cambodia shape for the future. In my view, we think that the turn for Cambodia during this affected, it will be U-turn. So don't expect that Cambodia is V-shaped turn, because the country is invested by both local and international. So everything is depend on the country in Asia and Europe and also US. So we need to move together. Actually, early of the year, we expect that our GDP to be positive and growing about 7%. Unfortunately, with the impact, it will be negative. This is the source prediction from World Bank. The negative will be -1%. It's similar to export that it's grow year to year. However, with the impact of EBA and as well as COVID-19, it will be negative for 16%. Similar as well regarding to FDI, which is, it used to be 2.8 billion in 2019. However, the projection it will just 2.3 billion for 2020, which is about a 17% decrease. If we look to tourists from January to April, the decrease is approximately 50%. This because of flight restriction, traveling restriction. People think about their health, their safety. So even those the people in the country, they don't want to travel. So that's the key reason. I also pick up some sector in real estate to share. High-end condominium, prime office rent, and also retail rent. All those sectors decrease in terms of the price for selling and also rental. For someone who invests in gold, that's a good investment. We can see that for the last 6 months, it increased about 20%. So it's never happened before that the gold increase this percentage for the short-term period.
Today you reach 1,800 today.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's even higher. Move to the loan value for real estate, construction and mortgage, how it look like. Of course, people need money, they still need loan. So you can see that the loan value is still increased. However, there are more restrictions from the bank, especially for the sector or for individual or for business company who hit the suffer the most, especially tourist sector, hospitality, retail. So that's why the bank set more restriction. They review the cash flow carefully. This is the reason that the increased value seems to be go down a bit. It used to be 8% for growth rate for real estate, but now it's only 6%. And construction, it used to be average 7%, but now is the growth rate is only 4% per quarter. while other mortgage for other business seem to be stable regarding to the increasing rates, which is about 8%. We see that for middle class or lower class, they have more challenge in terms of manage the cash flow to return to the bank during this market condition. That's why I know that the bank even flexible regarding to installment. So some bank they accept the payment for just interest during that period of time. So they give the flexible option to their client may be about 6 months to a year, depend on the request and case by case. Moving to construction permit, construction approval. It's a price that construction project and investment have increased. I believe that the increase because of the pending construction permit in Q4 2019. Because to get construction permit, it takes within 3 to 6 months. So I think that is the previous project that have not approved before COVID-19. I believe that in Q3, Q4, the approval for construction project will be slowed down. Move to land and infrastructure. What happened during this market condition? So everyone understand that lands and infrastructure are my friend. Everywhere that have infrastructure, the land price increase. This is the case that happened around the new airport at Condominium. I remember that in last 2 years, the land price was as only $15 per square meter. Now it's $60, $70. The land in that area used to be agriculture, but now it's with the infrastructure. We believe that in the next 2-3 years, after the infrastructure road been improved, it will be moving to residential. I know that a lot of progress in road in the last 6 to 12 months because OCIC plan to speed up the infrastructure and plan to release the new airport in 2023. Let's see whether it's come along the timeline. Another project that just announced in Q2 2022, this is Condominium. It used to be residential in that area, and now we notify that there are a few projects that been announced and launched in around the area, such Leasing, which is the high-end condominium. Similar to One Central Tower, it is the mixed-use project. So it's moving from residential to commercial size, so the land price also start to increase in that area. Ring road. We note that the ring road is speeding up very quick, and the land price is jumped up to 200% as well. The land price in last 2 years was only $50-$70 per square meter because it's industrial area, but now it's go up to 150 or 200. Be careful, even though infrastructure is the key thing to lead the land price increase. But if the land price jump too quick, it will be a bubble for land investment. So not every investment is a good investment. Mostly I heard people say investment in land is no risk. But you need to understand what is the price should be for industrial development, should be residential, should be commercial. If your land is industrial, but the price is residential, I think that is a high risk for investment. We talk a lot about outskirts and infrastructure. So now move to city center lane. What happened? It flagged. There is no demand for city center lane because of the supply seem to be full. So a small increasing percentage for the land price in Thu Quoc in San Sok, but other areas like Chongkamon or Phnom Penh still flat. We don't see many distressed assets because mostly the person who own the land in the city center, they are high wealthy family, so it not affected much by COVID-19. Okay, so what is my view regarding to COVID-19 effect to land and investment to wrap up? Actually, regarding to large investment, it been decreased for investment in Cambodia. We don't see any decision move quick. International investor, large investor, they want to wait and see the market condition, so they delay their decision for launching, for purchasing any large land plot. There are still more active land at the outskirts because of the infrastructure, especially for the lane below 3 billion USD. And as mentioned, land price in city center flat, and transaction also decreased compared to Q4 2019. So yes, it's have opportunity to invest if you have cash in hand, because there are more distressed assets for low and mid end, especially for something 1 or 2 million that suffer from COVID-19 the most. So this is the reason that if you have in cash, you should think about a good place to invest, but you need to be careful regarding to risk around the land and investment that you want to invest. Office market. We know that there are 4 office projects that complete and put supply into the market in the first half year, or we say Q2 2020. So there is no grade A, only grade B and C. So everyone know that when new supply come, the occupancy rate need to be decreased. There are more projects to be complete by at the end of the year, which is about 10 more projects. So we believe that by at the end of the year, the occupancy rate start to be decreased with the adding new supply. And plus the existing tenants, they seem not want to extend their lease. Extend their space at the moment. They seem to be renew the lease. They don't want to relocate to a new office because of high office fit out costs that need to be added if they relocate the office space. This is the reason that the quoting rate for grade B decreased, because we noticed that even though the tenant they relocate or they expand their space, but the expansion will be the expansion to lower grade office, and that is the small space. So we can see that grade C in this current market condition have high demand, and the rent have increased. This is the 5 office project that has been launched in Q2 2020. Amas in BKK Ward, Royal K along Mao Zedong, the Link 3 in BKK, Terra along National Road 2, and then the Highland in Central Market area. So even those grade B and grade C, but they still focus in city center area and also the main road. So what we see for office, what is our view? At the moment, of course, the landlord worry about vacancy rate. The landlord feel more worry how they can fill up their space with this current market condition, because there is no any new like multinational corporation. So the space that the tenant need at the moment is smaller compared to the previous market condition. So in our view, the rent is continue to drop in Q3 and Q4, and once the market absorb next year with the additional new supply, and when other international business and in other country they feel more comfortable regarding to decision to create a new office, that is the time that office market start to recover. So we believe at least in the next 12 months. Hospitality is the sector that hit the most by COVID-19. What happened here? I bring April 2019 compared to April 2020. So how it looked like? The number of tourists have decreased 99%. It's a combination between local tourists, because there was no Khmer New Year in April. We cancel, we move to August, and there are flight restriction on the restriction on traveling. So there are no international tourists. So that's why April hit the most for the country. We understand that there are some hotels closed and some have temporary closed because of no tourists, no people who want to travel, who want to visit. And if we see, that's why if we book the hotel through directly by call, I believe that you all have the good rate. However, if you book the hotel by Agoda, you don't see the decreased rate. But realistically, the rate have increased more than 50%. One hotel that I used to stay that quote 200, you can get about $70 or $50 during this market condition. So that is a good rate for you to consider. But again, please careful regarding to your health and safety. So this is the slide, the first slide at the left, to compare the domestic, the local and international tourists, which international tourists which impact the most and have a big gap different. It used to be about 500,000 per month, but during this peak season, it's lower. It's less than 5,000. Local tourists, they think about other locations to visit, especially for comfort and followed by Cape. Siem Reap still impact a lot. It used to be the best tourist footfall. However, we don't see because I think even those local market, they worry about international tourist area. So that's why they move their visit to other area besides Siem Reap. As mentioned earlier, if we look at Q1, the lower of tourists is only 38%, but it started to increase in March and then hit the most in April. However, now it's been improved in May, June, July, and we expect that it will be better for August when there will be a Khmer New Year replacement at the end of August. Retail is the dynamic sector. It's a sector that growing when the market is good, when the economy is good, when the people have money to spend. But in this market condition, people want to save. They want to manage their cash flow. They don't want to spend beside the food and other necessary things. So this is the second impact after tourist and hospitality sector. What we have noted, this is the track from Google Mobility Tracker. So compare Cambodia to other countries in the region. You can see that in April, Cambodia stay in better position regarding to lost footfall in the shopping center. We impact only 45%, while Philippines impact more, up to 60 or 70%. And it's better now, Cambodia. So we know that in shopping center, the footfall decreased only about 20% only. And other countries such as Laos and Myanmar is in better position compared to us. Since the sector have impact, so the rent for different type of retail have decreased, except the community mall. Community mall is the small shopping center that focus on food, beverage, and entertainment. So everyone, even those in this market condition, they still need food. They still need a supermarket. So that's why it's not impact much on community mall. There is still demand. And the rent, the asking rent, it's still increased, surprisingly. Yeah, vacancy rate have increased for retail. And again, with the effect, I believe that it continue to increase for vacancy rate for Q3 and Q4. It's what happened in Q2 2020? It suffered, but there are still more new brands expand in the market because people suffer in shopping center. Therefore, some tenants they find a new brand at outside of shopping center in order for them to survive. However, in this market condition, the expansion brand is focused on food and beverage, bubble, and the new brand that the tenant expand that we notice is a smaller space compared to the previous market condition. And one shopping center in Q2 have repositioned, have redesigned. You can see the picture on the left. That is Young Commercial Center located along National Road 6 that have delayed construction for a while, but now they redesign. So it looks nice. Yep. So as mentioned, it impact and the footfall in the shopping center decreased about 50% because the retail have the category that generate the footfall the most in shopping center is entertainment. While the government announced to close cinema, that is and other entertainment, that is the key reason to make the footfall decrease. And also people worry about their health, their safety, so they don't want to be in a crowd area as well. So that the two main reason. And when the footfall increase, retailer don't sell much, so they need to request to the landlord to decrease the rental. So some landlord, they understand about the market conditions, so they give some discount, a shoot discount up to 50% for some tenant. And as mentioned, not many new brand, and some brand have delayed regarding to their decision to open. Condominium. So even though there is no new completion project, but we can see that the total supply for complete project as today in Q2 is about 20,000 units. for about 60 building condo project. And we know that there is 3 new projects that just launched. So they are mid-end actually, Eden High near Aeon 2, Lake Condo in BKK 1, and then Grand Condo in Choi Chang Wan. So those 3 projects still feel confident that they can launch and success. However, they think about new strategy, how they can sell their project during this market condition. So they offer a good payment term to their buyer. They just want to receive the booking and delay for the signing SPA and contract. So this is the strategy that they put in the market in order that they can attract the buyer to invest. However, again, condominium impact by COVID-19. The price for high-end and mid-end have decreased about 4% roughly. Affordable sector less affected by COVID-19 at only less than 1%.
So Celia, that was an interesting one I saw before. Why do you think the affordable sector has been impacted less than the other 2?
Yes, because affordable have been demanded by local buyer, and as mentioned earlier, that local market is still active. So this is the key main reason. When there is some demanding, the price did not decrease much. Yeah. Yes, the rent for condominium also decreased during this market condition. People moving around. They move from high-end to mid-end. People who used to be afford in mid-end condo, they move to stay in affordable type of condo. They want a better rent. They sell. So this is the key reason. And furthermore, we know that majority of the tenants who live in condominium and apartment are foreigners, and while they return to their home country for temporary, that's why this is the key reason that vacancy rate for condominium increase, and landlord or owner of condominium start to decrease the rent to attract the tenant. However, we see that there are some demand for local buyer that refer to your question just now. It's the active, even those complete condominium especially, and also landed property, similar to condominium, it's residential, the same. Number of loan project, it used to be 8, but I mentioned and reason just now, it's only 3 condo that are being launched this quarter. There is an opportunity for distressed asset, especially for affordable and mid-end condominium, and because people they find challenge to manage the cash flow, so they need to sell some asset. And just mention that developer they offer a lot of better condition to attract the buyer. So I think this is one of the reasons that you should consider to think about opportunity in this investment, in this residential condominium landed property investment as well, because this impact and more distraction. But I recommend not to use any bank loan for time being. You should invest if you have cash in hand. So the apartment is quite similar to condominium. However, we note that the higher vacancy rate compared to office for Soviet apartment. Soviet apartment in Cambodia, it used to be healthy, the occupancy rate is 85%, but in this market condition, it dropped to only 60% at the moment. And we noticed that some hotels, when they find challenge to find, or they suffer a lot from tourists, so they also offer a long stay to the tenant to diversify the risk in order that they can survive. So the rent decrease. Grade A used to be 22, but now it's only 19. And grade B also decreased about 10%. Actually, it's time for you to consider to negotiate with the landlord to get some good rent, and you should also think about sign up for a longer time, let's say a year, something like that, because this sector impact, and when the flight open in Q3 or Q4, I think the rent start to recover. So it suffers for landlord at the moment, and it benefit to tenant, but tenants should find something to be their opportunity to be ready for next year, 2021. That's all for my presentation today. So happy to answer any question from the audience today.
Great. Yeah, Tida, thank you very much for that update on the real estate and construction sector. A number of interesting trends there. I'll just see there's been a few questions on the and comments in the comment box. For those experiencing audio difficulties on the call, the webinar, the high quality recording of the webinar will be posted on YouTube. Tida has given permission for us to share the PDFs of the slides. So for those who make a specific request, we'll be able to share the PDF as well. So first of all then, to move into the Q&A, now would be the time to add any questions in the chat box if you do have them. But first of all, Michelle, to introduce you to the yes. Webinar, do you have any comments that you'd like to make on Tida's presentation?
Yes, well, during this crisis, we have tried for our member at the EuroCham to measure the impact on the construction industry, and one way we find the more relevant is by the production of cement, because with cement you make concrete, and in Cambodia maybe it's 80 or 90% of the construction are made by concrete or with a concrete structure. And the numbers we gathered from till now is a drop of 40% of cement sales. But you have to know that you have to be careful, because 40% represent the batch and the bags. Okay, the batch is what you sell for the developer, for the big building, for the big development, and the bags is what the people buy to build their own house in the countryside, okay, or in the suburbs. So the major increase is on the batch, so the batching plant. So that's where the major decrease is. And not much on the bags, but now the bags start to decrease also. So it means that people in the countryside, people so the lower class, which had project to increase the story of the house or build an extension, or they have delayed obviously, or they don't have any more the cash to do this project. So we see a drop in the activities by measuring from the cement. It's one way to measure. It's not accurate, but it gives you the trends. On the projects, as Tida mentioned herself, for me, I'm focusing more on the construction, the physical issue is the project has slightly slowed down. For a few reasons. First, the health condition. So because of the COVID, you have to put in place on the construction site some measure that slow down a bit or restrict the number of people to work together in a room, for example. And secondly, for the developer to save some cash. So basically, we've been asked for on few projects to slow down. So we moved the cash to 2021. So like that, you can save a few millions on the cash flow. So it's a way for the investors and developers to mitigate the risk during this period. And also, they take this time to think about the relevance of the development. For example, if you were building a hotel, it's probably not a good time to open it now. So, as Tida also mentioned, there is those hotel owner, especially the ones who were not branded. Okay? They might think, or they're thinking already to switch to residential. Okay, it's quite easy to transform a hotel into apartments. You knock down a few walls, you build up a kitchen, and then that's it. And then so it's quite easy. It's a reconversion of the building. So I think we will see this kind of redevelopment, if you call it like that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a follow-up on that actually, because one of the questions I wanted to ask was, what impact do you think COVID-19 will have on Cambodia's very large infrastructure projects? For example, the airport, the ones that were really aimed at expanding the number of tourists coming into Cambodia. But obviously the tourism sector has been hit by 99%, as Tida shared in her own slides. Do you see any impact of COVID-19 on this, or it will just be a delay?
Well, no. I think there will be an acceleration on infrastructure because we knew, and the government was well aware that infrastructure for a country in development like Cambodia is the key for success. And I think this crisis showed that when you lack of infrastructure, you will recover slower recovery. So of course, it's the key for recovery is to have a better infrastructure. And when you see what happened in Sihanouk Ville, which was planned a little bit before the COVID, but it's perfect timing. You go to Sihanouk Ville today, it's not anymore the crappy road. Now there's a very wide road, and they've done that in no time. It's amazing. And now they start to do the same thing in Siem Reap. So this is a very good news.
Okay.
For the airport, I don't know, because already there is enough capacity to cover for the next 5 to 10 years. We will see with the new airport when it's coming on operation, but it's a good news anyway. And one of the best news also is the ring road number 3, sorry. And I think the town, the city will expand a bit more on the south. So you see a change in infrastructure is the key for sure. So I think they will accelerate.
I just visited the new airport area in the last 2 weeks, and I noticed that's my worry also. I think that it might be delayed because of the impact, but I surprised there is no any delay at all. It's very busy on the construction compared to the last 2-3 months that I visit. So I believe that it's part of government plan, but it's funded by a private sector. Even though the government want to focus on protection of COVID-19 in other areas. They said that they delay on infrastructure, but for ring road and for airport, it's not impact at all. Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's pleasant news for me as well. There. So it can actually COVID-19 can actually cause an acceleration of the infrastructure developments that have been planned.
Well, I think it sends a good message to accelerate. It's a good reason. You can see the impact, and so yes, it's a sort of accelerator. I don't know how you call that.
All right. Well, maybe an unexpected benefit of COVID-19, one of few. So just linked to that one, then, in terms of the infrastructure projects, one of our questions was actually related to land prices in the provinces like Sihanouk Ville, Siem Reap, Hoi Pet, and others. And obviously, some of these, particularly Sihanouk Ville, would have been vastly affected by the drop in Chinese visitors and Chinese investors, Chinese hotel builders. Tida, if you'd be able to share a bit more about what you know about the increase or I assume the decrease in land prices in those particular areas?
Yeah, it impact actually Sihanouk Ville land price. It's a lot of transaction in Q1 and Q2 2019, and after the announcement of Penh's gambling in Q4 2019, the land price start to increase in Q1 2020, plus the COVID-19, plus the poor infrastructure. So I noticed that the land price in Sihanouk Ville have decreased about 30% in average in Q1 and Q2. The rental have decreased about 50% in Q1 and Q2. However, as Michelle just mentioned, if you visit Sihanouk Ville nowadays, you see different things compared to Q1 and Q2. So I think Sihanouk Ville start to be better because as mentioned, infrastructure and land price are friends. So it's will be recover first compared to land price in the city center, while the city center in Phnom Penh have a big impact by international investor, and with the discount that been offered in Q1, Q2 for Sihanouk Ville, so that is a good time to buy and to think about Sihanouk Ville land.
It's definitely a time to buy, and we see also in our company that we have a lot of demand on technical due diligence. So it means investor asking for technical due diligence on a building in order to acquire it. So we see, I mean, we should ask the lawyers, but I understand the lawyers are very busy at the moment. So I guess there is a lot of transaction going on.
Okay. Well, I guess that kind of links to another question we received then. And it's interesting what you were saying, Tida, that Sihanouk Ville prices might recover faster than other areas. But overall, from both of your perspectives, then, it seems like some good news there. But how long do you think with the real estate and construction sector will continue to feel the impacts of COVID-19? When could we start to see an increase in prices again?
I don't know. Tida will probably answer better than me, but it depends on which sector for sure. Talking about opportunity, and this is also linked to the infrastructure industries coming to Cambodia. We saw that before the COVID. It started to begin before the COVID, where industry want to relocate to other countries outside China because of the trade war between China and the States. So that trend. It's still here. I was just, while Tida was commenting on the slide, I was looking at the permitting approved on the Ministry of Construction application, and on the first page, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, it's almost factories. Umbrella factory from China. Here we go. So they're coming. So it will not be large manufacturing. But it will be SMEs and some industry, and I think especially industry who goes into the food and agricultural product. And I think the government, they got the message, because now they're pushing a lot on rebuilding the agricultural sector in Cambodia. So yes, that's the new trend in construction is the industry for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Michelle. Everything is depend on each sector. So at the moment, there is still active for local market, for completed condominium project, for landed property, for small land around the outskirts of the city. CBRE at the moment focus on local buyer, local market, because international buyer have delay. So we believe that this sector is still good and is the one who recover first. And then after that, it will be office. I expect that everything is better in Q1 or Q2 next year. And then followed by retail, which will be another 18 months from now. And then hotel and hospitality, I think that is the last sector to recover.
I've got a question to Tida regarding the residential. Do you think developer will change their strategy in terms of ratio of small apartment versus big apartment, adapting their project with more health facilities, like we've seen during the COVID? Some people were scared to go home because they live in a massive condominium and they have to share a small place, which is called the lift, you know. And then, so how do you see a change on that in the positioning or strategy?
At the moment, what the landlord have protect their tenant and the person who live their resident, they do a health check, temporary check. They put sanitizer when the tenant or investor go to the building. And in terms of your question, how they prepare themselves in the future when something of this has happened again, I believe that they think about this. So they need to have something redesigned, initiate protection to diversify, to protect their tenant, to protect their residents who live in the building. So let's say we never think that the culture of work from home happen, but whether or not people change behavior after COVID-19, I believe that they still think about that. It still happen, especially for our webinar. We normally do a lot more event, and now we start to do webinar because it's convenient for the audience.
We can arrange the same.
It will be continue. Yeah, it will be continue. So COVID-19 impact, but it changed our behavior for everything. Yeah.
I think all companies have had to come up with some new practices to deal with COVID-19. Yes, it's certainly been an interesting time for EuroCham as well, as one of the largest event organizers here. So we just had one question regarding progress in dealing with construction permits and property registration, and in the process of property registration. And so I suppose the question to perhaps to you, Michelle, would be, I mean, has there been any progress in dealing with construction process permits or property registration processes? Has there been any improvements in that section?
Yes. Well, don't forget, if you remember well, in November they passed the new construction law, and after that, the ministry were preparing, I think, about 40 PRACA. It's a lot because you need to apply. No, there's a lot of things like it needs to be regulated. You know, in the construction activities, like safety, for example. It's one of the key hot topic. Was a hot topic last year. It's still one. And what I know from the people in the industry is that before the COVID, there were 23 of them were ready to be voted, and then the delay, the COVID delay a little bit the review process of those PRACAs. So, but I believe those PRACA were ready. So we're going to see that very soon. Now the ministry, or in the post-COVID time, they start to go back to ministry. So I think that we'll see that very soon. I think Q3 or Q4, you will see one by one being voted and implemented. So some of them is the certification. So they will ask to have a third party to certify the building permit. We've seen also last year the new regulation on the fire. Firefighting, yeah. So that's also the PRACA will come also, I guess, very soon. I mean, of course, obviously, the sector will get more and more regulated, which was an issue in the past, and so that's coming for sure. In terms of property registration, I'm not too familiar with this one. It's more for lawyers or real estate. I don't know exactly what will change, but for the permitting, yes, for sure, the developer has to be ready for that. And so I hope it will not slow down. That's whatever we convey to the EuroCham Real Estate and Construction Committee. That's what we convey to the government. That we are fine that you regulate better, but please don't slow down the process, because we've seen the impact in other countries like Vietnam, where you're stuck with a building permit approval, and then that impacts a lot on the sector. So.
Okay. So some improvements on the horizon,
yes.
But the hope is that COVID-19 hasn't delayed their implementation, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. So that's actually we're at 57 minutes now. So if if anybody has a last question, this would be the time to ask it. But my last one for you, Tida and Michelle, would be, and I think you covered it somewhat in your presentations, but really for the participants here today, what are the opportunities that are currently in the real estate and construction sector? I mean, should this be the time where you're asking your landlord for a discount? We had one person saying, my landlord didn't give me a discount. Sorry for the comment. But, so yeah, from the two of you, what are the areas that the listeners from all sectors can start to see opportunities in?
So actually last week I ran one presentation whether this market condition we should buy, we should sell, or we should hold. And the answer is it depends on type of asset that you own. For example, if you have a few hotels and you know that it's the most impact sector, so yeah, you should consider to sell one of them, because you also need to diversify your investment to other sector, and you need to manage the cash flow. And if you have land, let's say whether I need to hold, I need to sell, I need to buy, yeah, both buy and sell. If there is some risk on your land, the price is too high, there is no infrastructure that you think that will happen around your land. So I think don't delay, you should sell it. There are some distressed assets that put in the market for land sale, for villa sale or condo sale, that they need to consider to purchase it, because you want to get that price when the market recover. But again, invest in property is risk. So if you're not confident, you need to discuss with any expert or advisor before making decision. And don't put high risk to get loan to invest in this market condition. Yeah.
Okay. And Michelle, anything?
For me, I will not say where you have to buy or sell, but what I see in our sector is like the good developer, the serious developer, will get away better than the bad one. So I think in terms when you have a crisis like that, and if you're a bit weak, or if you have done a quick sales with a bad quality project, you will not survive. So I think my advice is do your project well, whatever you do. I mean, we are in a developing country, so I still believe there is needs for office. I still believe there is need for apartment and for everything. But I hope this crisis will increase the quality of the project and decrease the price for the buyers. So have a look at it's time also to revise the taxation. The government now, they are craving to get the tax, to get the money, and they need to pay for this infrastructure we were talking before. So maybe it's also a time to review the tax, how the tax is being distributed in Cambodia and maybe taxing more, I don't know, developer, or I don't know, whatever. Maybe give incentive for green building, for example. That will be the next trend. We didn't talk about that today, but that's the next trend for sure.
Okay.
Great. Yes.
Okay then, well, for everybody on the presentation, and that brings us to the hour mark, I would just put on our little moment. So Michelle, you'll have to join a bit closer so you can say goodbye. But,
we have to respect social distance.
Of course. So for everybody who is listening in on the presentation today, I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much again to our sponsors for making this event happen. Thank you for being an active audience. We had some very good questions there. And mainly, thank you very much to Michelle Cassant and Tina Ann for delivering an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so everybody have a great rest of your Thursday, and yes, we'll hopefully see you at the next webinar. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.